who is an independent. Stella has lived with her family in Doncaster for the last 22 years. She holds a bachelor's degree in social work and a master's in policy development, and has a record of community service in organisations like Rotary and the St Vincent de Paul Society. She is the editor of the Manningham Life magazine, which she founded after the local newspaper in Manningham closed down. So let's all welcome Stella.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for coming, and thank you for organizing this event, Menzies for Climate. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we're meeting on the traditional lands of the Wurundjeri people and pay my respects to the elders, past, present, and emerging. Some of you may have heard my speech at the Candidate Forum at Authorised recently, where I spoke of my hometown Sandakan and its connection to Australia's military history. During World War II, hundreds of Australian POWs perished in the Sandakan death marches. As we approach Anzac Day, it's important that we remember their sacrifice. Sandakan is also known for the Sepilok Orangutan Rehabilitation Center, the oldest of its kind in the world, set up in 1964 for orphan orangutans rescued from logging sites. Back then, logging and plywood industry dominated the local economy. Over time, vast rainforests were cleared and replaced with palm oil plantations. I still cannot think of my hometown without sadness over the loss of one of the world's richest ecosystems to greed and profit. As a child, I saw firsthand what happens when the environment isn't protected. Smoke constantly polluted the air we breathed from the burning of timber offcuts near my home. It affected our health and left a deep impression on me. I was only in primary school then, but I learned a lot. I didn't like companies that abused their power or ignored the harm that they caused. I also didn't like the feeling of being powerless, and I knew that I simply wouldn't just accept the injustice. Around that same time, here in Australia, Bob Brown was fighting to save the Franklin River in Tasmania. Sir David Attenborough later drew global attention to the Bornean rainforest, the oldest on Earth, home to over 15,000 plant species, 6,000 found nowhere else. I was lucky enough to see some of them in the wild, including the rare Bornean pygmy elephant and the world's largest flower, the Rafflesia. Children today don't have the same opportunities for wonder. Even with the wonderful Great Barrier Reef right here, they grow up with anxiety. Instead of awe, they associate with coral bleaching, as well as species vanishing forever. How can we explain the federal government decision to back a foreign-owned company which hasn't paid tax in years to continue destructive salmon farming in Macquarie Harbour? This risks wiping out the ancient Maugean skate. Worse still, the industry sold diseased fish to unsuspecting consumers like us after a mass death event, an appalling breach of trust. As Jeffrey Watson, SC of the Centre of Public Integrity put it, we are entitled to know how we are being governed, why we are being governed, and who is making the decisions which affect our daily lives. My position on climate is simple. If we stay on this path, we face a 2 to 4% rise in global temperatures by the century's end. This is not a livable future for our children and grandchildren. We've already seen what 1.5 degrees look like. Black summer bushfires, record floods, and rising insurance premiums. What happens at 2 or 3 degrees? We must act boldly and urgently. The climate commitments that I support are at least 42% reduction by 2030, net zero well before 2050, legally binding carbon budgets, 80% clean electricity by 2030 and 100% soon after, no new fossil fuel projects, and managed coal phased out by 2040 with support for workers. And on land and nature and land protection, invest in Australian-led clean energy technology, protect forests, wetlands, coast and biodiversity, end native forest logging, shift to sustainable plantations, and promote regenerative agriculture and better land use. We need real action on the household level. I support rewiring Australia's plan to electrify 10 million homes over 14 years, using $40 to $50 billion loan scheme to deliver cleaner, cheaper energy. We must ensure renters, apartment dwellers, and low-income households aren't left behind.